The red warning lights flashed across the bridge of the New Soul as Captain Lee Jun read the urgent message from the Galactic Council. His hands gripped the datapad tighter with each word. The bridge crew watched their captain's face change. From calm to shocked. "Sir, is everything okay?" asked Lieutenant Kim Tae from his position at the security station. Captain Lee looked up at his crew. These were good people. They had been exploring the Outer Rim for 2 years without any major problems. They had met peaceful traders, helped stranded ships, and mapped new star systems. Nothing had prepared them for this. "The Council wants us to meet with the Cractor Empire," Lee said quietly. The bridge went silent. Everyone knew about the Cractor. They were the nightmare stories that parents told their children. The Cractor had destroyed entire civilizations. They had turned 3 star systems into graveyards. No one had ever negotiated with them because no one had ever survived trying. Dr. Park Hannah looked up from her science station. "Captain, did you say negotiate?" "The Cractor don't negotiate. Conquer. That's what makes this so strange," Lee replied. He walked to the main screen and displayed the council message for everyone to see. The Cractor contacted the council themselves. They want to meet. They specifically asked for humans to represent the peaceful species. Lieutenant Kim Tae shook his head. "Sir, this has to be a trap. The Cractor probably want to study us before they attack human space." Engineer Choi Min spoke up from the back of the bridge. "Why would they ask for humans specifically? We're new to the galaxy. Most species barely know we exist." Dr. Hannah pulled up her research files on the main screen. Images of Cractor warriors filled the display. They were massive beings, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in thick scales and natural armor. Their faces had sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. Every image showed them in battle or standing over defeated enemies. "I've been studying their intercepted communications for months," Hannah said. "The strange thing is, their language has patterns. They're not just random sounds of anger. They're structure, almost like they're following rules." Captain Lee studied the images. "What kind of rules?" "Combat rules, honor codes. It reminds me of ancient human warrior cultures. The Spartans, the samurai, even the Vikings had similar patterns in their communication." The ship's computer chimed with an incoming message. The council was sending coordinates for a neutral meeting station called Kepler Point. They had 72 hours to get there. Sir Kim Tae said, "I need to point out that every ship that has encountered the Cractor has been destroyed. We have no weapons that can match theirs. Our shields won't hold against their firepower for more than a few minutes." Lee nodded. "I know the risks, Lieutenant. Think about this. The Cractor wanted to destroy human space. They could do it, whether we meet them or not. At least this way, we might learn something useful." Dr. Hannah was still studying the Cractor data. "Captain, I want to try something. Instead of approaching this like a normal diplomatic mission, what if we treat it like a meeting between warrior cultures?" "What do you mean?" "Most species send their best diplomats to meet the Cractor. Soft-spoken negotiators who try to avoid conflict. But what if that's exactly the wrong approach? What if the Cractors see that as weakness?" Engineer Choi Min looked interested. "You're saying we should act more like warriors, not act like warriors?" Hannah corrected. "Be honest about what we are. Humans have been fighters throughout our history. We've had wars, but we've also had honor. We've had codes of conduct, even in battle." Captain Lee considered this. It was crazy, but then again, everything about this mission was crazy. "What would you suggest, Doctor?" "Let me study their communication patterns more closely. If I'm right about the warrior culture similarities, there might be a way to approach them that no other species has tried." The next 2 days passed quickly. As the New Soul traveled toward Kepler Point, Dr. Hannah worked constantly, analyzing every piece of Cractor communication they could find. She discovered that the Cractor had dozens of different words for types of combat, but they also had words for honor, courage, and something that translated roughly as worthy opponent. Lieutenant Kim Tae drilled the security team constantly, though everyone knew it wouldn't matter if fighting started. Engineer Choi Min checked and rechecked every system on the ship. They would need everything working perfectly. Captain Lee spent his time reading human military history. If Dr. Hannah was right, Hay needed to understand how human warriors had thought and acted throughout the centuries. On the morning of the third day, they arrived at Kepler Point. The station was a simple structure built for meetings between different species. It had basic life support for most galactic races in meeting rooms designed to accommodate various body types. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving multiple contacts on long-range sensors." The main screen showed what everyone feared to see. Cractor warships were approaching from all directions. There were at least 12 of them, each one larger than a new soul. Their dark holes bristled with weapons that could turn a planet into dust. "They're surrounding us," Kim Tae reported. "Standard attack formation." Captain Lee stood up from his command chair. It was the moment that would decide everything. Every other species had arrived at meetings with the Cractor with the weapons ready and shields up. Every other species had been destroyed within minutes. "All hands, this is the captain," Lee announced over the ship's communication system. "Power, down all weapons, lower all shields." The bridge crew stared at him. "Sir?" Kim Tae asked. "You heard me, Lieutenant? Weapons down, shields down. We're going to do this. We're going to do it with trust, not fear." Engineer Choi Min's hands hesitated over his controls. "Captain, if they attack, we'll have no defense at all." "Choi, if they attack, our defenses won't matter anyway. At least this way, we're showing them something different." One by one, the ship's defensive systems powered down, so the new soul hung in space, completely vulnerable, surrounded by the most dangerous warships in the galaxy. For long minutes, nothing happened. Then the communications system crackled to life. Harsh voice spoke in broken galactic standard. "Human ship, you lower weapons, you lower shields. All other species raise weapons when they see Cractor. Why do humans not raise weapons?" Captain Lee looked at Dr. Hannah, who nodded encouragingly. "Because," Lee replied, "we come to meet warriors, not to fight them. Warriors deserve respect, not fear." There was a long silence. Then, incredibly, the voice spoke again. "Human captain will come to Cractor ship. We will talk of warriors and respect." The shuttle bay of the Cractor flagship was enormous. Captain Lee Jun stepped out of the small human transport and felt like an ant walking into a cathedral. The ceiling stretched high above them, and the walls were covered with metal plates that looked like armor. Everything was built for beings much larger than humans. Dr. Park Hannah walked beside him, carrying a small data pad with her research notes. Lieutenant Kim Tae followed close behind, his hand resting on his sidearm, even though they all knew it would be useless here. Engineer Choi Min brought up the rear, his eyes wide as he looked at the alien technology surrounding them. "Remember?" Dr. Hannah whispered. "Everything I've studied suggests they value strength and directness. Don't apologize for being human. Don't try to make yourself smaller." Heavy footsteps echoed through the shuttle bay. The sound grew louder and louder until the humans could feel it in their chests. Then General Vorthok entered the bay with his warrior escort. The Cractor were even more impressive in person than in the video recordings. General Vorthok stood nearly 4 meters tall, his thick scales gleaming under the harsh lights. Scars covered his arms and face, each one telling a story of battle. His red eyes glowed as he studied the small humans who had dared to board his ship behind. Vorthok came 6 other Cractor warriors. Each one carried weapons that looked like they could cut through steel. Their armor was decorated with symbols that probably represented their victories in combat. Dr. Hannah stepped forward, She had studied the Cractor greeting rituals for hours. During the journey to the flagship, taking a deep breath, she placed her right fist over her heart and bowed her head exactly 30 degrees. Then she raised her head and looked directly into General Vorthok's eyes. "We greet you, General Vorthok, as warriors greet warriors," she said in carefully practiced Cractor words. The entire group of Cractor warriors stopped moving. General Vorthok's eyes widened slightly. For a moment, nobody made a sound. Then Vorthok returned a bow. "You speak our words, small human. You know our ways. This is good." Captain Lee stepped forward. "General, I am Captain Lee Jun of the human ship New Soul. We thank you for allowing us aboard your vessel." Captain Lee Vorthok replied in his deep voice, "Come, we will talk in the war room. Your people may bring their weapons if they wish, Lieutenant." Kim Tae looked surprised. Every other species that had met the Cractor had been forced to surrender their weapons immediately. "We keep our weapons," Captain Lee said, "but we come in peace." General Vorthok made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace is what the weak ask for when they cannot fight. Are humans weak, Captain Lee?" Dr. Hannah had warned them about this kind of question. "Humans are not weak, General. But humans know the difference between fighting because you must and fighting because you want to." The war room was exactly what its name suggested. The walls were covered with maps of star systems, battle plans, and weapons displays. A large table in the center showed a three-dimensional map of the local galaxy with different colored markers indicating various territories. General Vorthok gestured for the humans to sit on one side of the table while he and his warriors took the other side. The chairs were built for Cractor, so the humans had to climb up to reach the seats. "Why do humans come to speak with Cractor?" Vorthok asked. "Other species send their software speakers. They're peacemakers. They talk of trade and treaties. They bore us with their weakness." Captain Lee leaned forward. "We don't come to talk about trade, General. We come to understand. The galaxy is full of species who fear the Cractor. They tell stories of your warriors conquering worlds and destroying fleets, but they never ask why." "Why?" Vorthok repeated. "Yes, why do the Cractor fight? What drives your people to war?" General Vorthok was quiet for a long moment. Then he began to speak in a voice that carried the weight of centuries. "Long ago, our world was attacked by machines from the dark between stars. These machines had no honor, no courage. They killed our people like insects. Our ancestors fought with everything they had, but the machines were too many." The other Cractor warriors nodded as their general continued. "Our ancestors made a promise. Never again would Cractor be weak. Never again would we wait for death to come from the stars. We became strong so that no machine, no alien, no force in the galaxy could destroy us." Dr. Hannah spoke carefully. "You fight to protect your people. We fight to prove we are worthy of life," Vorthok corrected. "Every battle shows the universe that Cractor cannot be destroyed. Every victory honors our ancestors who died to the machines." Engineer Choi Min had been quietly studying the weapon displays on the walls. "General, may I ask about your weapons? The energy signatures are different from anything we've seen." Vorthok looked pleased by the question. "Do you understand weapons, small human?" "I understand engineering. Your weapons are beautifully made. The power systems must be incredibly advanced." For the first time since they had boarded the ship, General Vorthok smiled. "Come, see our weapons. Learn how Cractor build tools of war." The next hour was unlike anything the humans had expected. Instead of discussing treaties or territorial agreements, they found themselves in the ship's armory, learning about Cractor weapon technology. Engineer Choi Min asked detailed questions about power systems and targeting computers. The Cractor warriors answered eagerly, proud to show off their innovations. "Your plasma cannons are more efficient than our lasers. Choi Min admitted. How do you prevent power overload? A Cractor engineer explained the cooling systems while demonstrating the weapon's components. Soon, human and Cractor engineers were working together to solve technical problems. Lieutenant Kim Tae watched this exchange with growing amazement. General, in human culture, warriors often test each other's strength through combat. Do Cractor have similar traditions? General Vorthic's eyes lit up. You wish to test strength against Cractor warrior? Kim Tae swallowed hard, but nodded. If it would honor both our peoples. It would, Vorthak said firmly, but not with weapons that kill. Warriors who fight with honor deserve to live and learn. The combat demonstration took place in the ship's training room. Lieutenant Kim Tae faced a young Cractor warrior in hand-to-hand combat. The fight lasted exactly 30 seconds. Kim Tae hit the floor hard, but he got back up immediately. Again, he said. They fought 3 more times. Kim Tae lost every match, but each time he learned something new. Each time he lasted a little longer. The Cractor warriors watched with growing respect. You fight with honor, human warrior, the young Cractor said, helping Kim Tae to his feet after the final match. You do not surrender, even when defeat is certain. General Vorthok nodded approvingly. This is good. Humans understand that honor matters more than victory. Captain Lee felt something changing in the room. The tension was gone. The Cractor were no longer looking at them as potential enemies. General Lee said, would you be willing to teach us more about Cractor honor? And perhaps we could share some human stories of courage and warfare. General Vorthok considered this request. Danny spoke words that would change the course of galactic history. Captain Lee, we will learn from each other. Come, let us speak of warriors and the honor they carry. 6 months had passed since the first meeting between humans and Cractor. The galaxy watched in amazement as the most feared warriors in known space began working alongside the newest species to join the galactic community. Cultural Exchange Officer Sarah stood on the observation deck of the joint training station orbiting the planet Karas. Below her, human and Cractor warriors practiced combat techniques together. What had started as a simple cultural exchange had grown into something much more important. The progress is remarkable, Dr. Park Hanna said, joining Sora at the viewing window. 6 months ago, most species thought the Cractor would destroy us within days. Now look at them. In the training areas below, human soldiers learned Cractor fighting styles, while Cractor warriors studied human tactics. The size difference made some exercises challenging, but both species had found ways to adapt. Lieutenant Kim Tae has improved greatly, so Ra observed. He can actually last 5 minutes against a Cractor warrior now. Dr. Hanna smiled. General Vorthok says that's better than most Cractor youngsters do in their first year of training. Their conversation was interrupted by urgent alarms throughout the station. Red lights flashed as the communication system crackled to life. All personnel report to stations immediately. We have received a distress call from the farming colony on Verdun Prime. The colony is under attack by unknown hostile forces. So Ra and Dr. Hanna rushed to the command center, where Captain Lee Jun was already coordinating the response. General Vorthok stood beside him, studying tactical displays on the main screen. What's the situation? Dr. Hanna asked. Void swarm. Captain Lee replied grimly. A full hive fleet attacked Verdant Prime 3 hours ago. The colony has maybe 200,000 civilians, mostly farmers and their families. Okay. General Vorthok growled deep in his throat. Void swarm are destroyers. They consume all life, leave nothing behind. How many ships do they have? Long range. Sensors show at least 40 vessels, reported the tactical officer. The colony's defenses won't last another 6 hours. The Void Swarm were one of the galaxy's greatest nightmares. They were a hive-minded species that consumed entire worlds, turning all organic matter into fuel for their endless expansion. Most species ran when the void swarm appeared. Fighting them was considered suicide. "Sir," Lieutenant Kim Tae said, "from his station, the nearest council fleet is 12 hours away. By the time they arrive, the colony will be gone." Captain Lee looked at the tactical display, showing the distances involved. The joint human-crafter training station was only 2 hours from Verdun Prime. They had 12 human ships and 8 crafter vessels available. General Lee said to Vorthok, "I know this isn't what we planned when we started this cooperation program, but those are innocent people down there." General Vorthok studied the display for a moment. Then he spoke in his deep, commanding voice. "Crafter, do not abandon the weak to predators. If humans fight, crafter fight beside them." Within 30 minutes, the combined fleet was moving toward Verdun Prime at maximum speed. Pilot Yoon Jae sat in the cockpit of his fighter, flying in formation with the crafter attack craft. The alien ships were larger and more heavily armed, but they had learned to coordinate their movements with the smaller, faster human vessels. "This is crazy," Yoon Jae's wingman said over the communication channel. "We're flying into a battle that the entire galactic fleet would avoid." "Yeah," Yoon Jae replied, watching the crafter fighters around him. "But we're not flying alone." Dr. Hannah worked frantically in the New Souls laboratory, analyzing data about void swarm weaknesses. "I've found something," she announced over the fleet communication system. "The void swarm ships are all connected through bioneural networks. If we can disrupt their communication, we might be able to confuse their coordination." Engineer Choi Min was already working on the technical solution. "I can modify our communication jammers to target their frequency, but I'll need time to calibrate the equipment." "How much time?" Captain Lee asked. 20 minutes minimum." General Vorthek's voice came through the communication system. "Crafter ships will engage enemy directly. Human ships protect the engineer while he works." As they approached Verdun Prime, the scope of the disaster became clear. The planet's surface was covered with smoke and fire. Void swarm ships swarmed around the colony like insects around prey. The colony's few defense platforms were already destroyed. "All ships, this is Captain Lee. Remember the plan. Crafter forces engage the main fleet. Human ships provide support and protect our technical teams. Stay coordinated and watch each other's backs." The battle began immediately. Crafter warships charged straight into the center of the void swarm fleet, their massive weapons tearing through enemy vessels. The void swarm responded by surrounding the crafter ships, trying to overwhelm them with numbers. That's when the human ships struck. Instead of engaging in direct combat, they used hit-and-run tactics, attacking void swarm vessels that were focused on the crafter ships. Pilot Yoon Jae led his squadron in perfect coordination with crafter fighters, their combined attack patterns proving devastatingly effective. "The crafter draw their attention while we hit their weak spots," Yoon Jae explained to his pilots. "It's working better than either of our species could manage alone." Meanwhile, Engineer Choi Min worked desperately to complete his modifications to the communication jamming system. Void swarm ships kept trying to break through the protective screen of human vessels around the New Soul. "Almost there," Choi Min reported. "Just need another 5 minutes." A group of void swarm attack ships broke through the defensive line, heading straight for the New Soul before the human ships could respond. 3 crafter fighters appeared from nowhere, destroying the attackers with precise weapons fire. "Humans protect crafter engineers when they work," came the voice of the crafter pilot. "Crafter protect human engineers." "This is good." Finally, Choi Min activated his jamming system. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Void swarm ships that had been moving in perfect coordination suddenly began flying erratically. Some crashed into each other. Others flew in random directions, completely lost. "It's working," Captain Lee announced. "All ships press the attack while they're confused." The combined human crafter fleet tore through the disorganized void swarm forces. What should have been a hopeless battle became a decisive victory. Within 2 hours, the last Void Swarm ship was destroyed on the surface of Verdant Prime. Rescue teams found that most of the colonists had survived by hiding in underground shelters. The planet could be rebuilt. Back on the training station, humans and Cractor celebrated together. General Vorthok found Captain Lee in the station's meeting room, looking out at the stars. "You fought well today, Captain Lee," Vorthok said. "People showed great courage. Okay, your people saved us more than once, General." "That coordination between our fighters was incredible," Vorthok nodded. "Human tactics and Cractor strength work well together. Better than either alone." Dr. Hannah joined them, carrying a data pad with her latest research. "I've been analyzing the battle recordings. Our combined effectiveness was nearly 3 times what either species could achieve separately. More importantly," Sora added, "we saved 200,000 lives today. People who would have died if we hadn't worked together." Captain Lee looked at his companions, human and Cractor alike. 6 months ago, the galaxy thought you were monsters, and we were naive newcomers. Today, we proved that former enemies can become the strongest allies." General Vorthok made the sound that served as Cractor laughter. "The galaxy learned slowly, but they will learn." Today, they saw something new. They saw friendship between warriors. As news of the victory at Verdant Prime spread throughout the galaxy, other species began to reconsider their opinions about both humans and Cractor. The impossible had happened. The galaxy's most feared warriors had become its unexpected protectors, working alongside the species that everyone said were to trusting for their own good. The real transformation was just beginning. 1 year after the victory at Verdant Prime, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Ambassador Park Day sat in his office on the Cractor homeworld, watching young Cractor warriors practice human martial arts in the courtyard. Below, the sight still amazed him every day. "Ambassador," his assistant called from the doorway. "General Vorthok requests a meeting. He says it's urgent." Park Day found the general in the war room, but instead of battle plans, the walls now displayed cultural exchange schedules and joint training programs. Vorthok was studying a report with a concerned expression. "What troubles you, General?" Day asked. Vorthok handed him the datapad. "The Hegemony Federation has issued an ultimatum. Demand that Cractor surrender all weapons and submit to Federation authority within 30 days. Park Day read the document with growing alarm. The Hegemony Federation controlled nearly half the galaxy through a combination of economic pressure and military force. They claimed to bring peace and order, but most species under their control had little freedom. "Afraid," Park Day realized the Human Cractor Alliance has shown other species that they don't have to submit to Federation rule. "Yes," Vorthok agreed. "And they fear what we might accomplish if we continue working together." The ultimatum demanded that the Cractor dismantle their military fleet and accept Federation governors to rule their worlds. Any species that refused would be declared enemies of galactic peace and dealt with accordingly. "What will your people decide?" Park Day asked. General Vorthok's eyes blazed with anger. "Cractor have never surrendered to any force. We will not start now." "Then humanity stands with you," Park Day said without hesitation. "We've learned too much about honor from your people to abandon you now." Within hours, emergency meetings were taking place on both Earth and the Cractor homeworld. Dr. Songmi, the psychologist who had been studying Cractor culture, addressed the Human Leadership Council via hologram. "The Federation misunderstands both our species," she explained. "They see the Cractor as mindless destroyers and humans as weak peacemakers. They don't realize that we've both evolved beyond their assumptions." Captain Lee, now Admiral Lee, commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled. "The Federation has 60 star systems under their control," he told his officers. "They have 3,000 warships and unlimited resources. On paper, this is impossible. Master Sergeant John, who had been training mixed human-cractor ground forces for months, raised his hand. Sir, the Federation might have more ships, but they've never faced coordinated resistance. Most species they've conquered submitted without much fighting. Explain, Admiral Lee said. Every species the Federation has absorbed was fighting alone. Oh, John continued. They use the same tactics against every enemy, but we're not fighting like any single species. We're fighting like something new. Tina homeworld, similar conversations were taking place. Young cractor warriors who had learned human philosophy spoke with their elders about different kinds of strength. They had discovered that protection could be more honorable than conquest. The ancestors fought to protect cractor people, said Korath, a young warrior who had trained with humans. Now we fight to protect all people who choose freedom over submission. The crisis came to a head when Federation advanced fleets arrived at the border systems. Instead of the quick surrender they expected, they found something unprecedented. Human and cractor ships flying together in perfect formation. Defensive stations built with combined technology. Populations that refused to be intimidated. The first battle took place in the Kepler system, ironically near the station where humans and cractor had first met. Admiral Lee coordinated the defense from his flagship, while General Vorthok, now Fleet Admiral Vorthok, commanded the cractor battle. Groups, Federation fleet approaching, reported the tactical officer. 200 ships in standard attack formation. Admiral Lee studied the enemy formation. The Federation used overwhelming force and superior numbers to crush resistance quickly. They expected their enemies to break and run when faced with impossible odds. All ships remembered the plan, Lee announced. We're not trying to win a traditional battle. We're trying to show the galaxy what unified resistance looks like. The Federation fleet attacked with classic tactics. Massive capital ships moved forward, while smaller vessels provided support. It was a strategy that had worked against every other species for centuries. But human cractor tactics were different. Cractor ships absorbed the heavy attacks, while human vessels used speed and agility to strike at weak points. When Federation ships focused on the fast human vessels, cractor firepower devastated their flanks. Master Sergeant John led the first mixed ground assault in galactic history when Federation forces tried to capture the planet. Karis, human soldiers provided tactical planning and advanced technology, while cractor warriors brought raw power and unbreakable determination. The Federation troops don't know how to fight us, John reported during the battle. They're trained to face either technical fighters or brutal warriors, but not both at the same time. The ground battle became a masterclass in combined operations. Human engineers disabled Federation equipment, while cractor warriors broke through their defensive lines. Federation commanders found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't understand or counter, but the real victory wasn't military. It was political. News of the battles spread throughout the galaxy. For the first time, species saw the mighty Federation struggling against determined resistance. More importantly, they saw that different species could work together as equals, rather than submit to a single authority. Look at the communication intercepts, Dr. Song-Mi told Admiral Lee during a strategy meeting. 17 different species have contacted us, asking about forming alliances. The Federation's own member worlds are questioning their loyalty. Kelthan Republic, a species that had been under Federation control for decades, declared independence and requested human cractor protection. The Zephyrian Trade Union followed within days. Soon, entire sectors were breaking away from Federation control. Admiral Lee found himself commanding not just human and cractor forces, but ships from dozens of species. Each one brought their own strengths to the alliance. Tyus, this is remarkable. Engineer Choi Min observed from his position as Chief Technical Officer of the Allied Fleet. The Kelthan have incredible sensor technology. The Zephyrians build the fastest engines in the galaxy. Combined with human innovation and crafter durability, we're becoming unstoppable. The turning point came during the Battle of Centauria Gate, the main route into Federation core territory. The Federation committed their entire reserve fleet, nearly 1,000 ships, to crush the rebellion once and for all. Fleet Admiral Vorthok and Admiral Lee stood together on the bridge of the Alliance flagship, watching enemy forces approach. "They outnumber us 4-1, Lee observed. "Numbers mean nothing when warriors fight for freedom," Vorthok replied. "Today, we show the galaxy what alliance means." The battle lasted 18 hours. Federation forces threw everything they had at the Allied fleet, but they couldn't break the coordinated defense. When Federation ships targeted human vessels, crafter ships protected them. When crafter ships were overwhelmed, human squadrons rescued them. But it wasn't just humans and crafter anymore. Kelthan sensors guided Zephyrian interceptors to critical targets. Andromedan heavy cruisers worked with crafter battleships to form unbreakable battle lines. Dozens of species that had never cooperated before fought as one unified force by the end of the battle. The Federation fleet was in full retreat. More importantly, their authority was broken. Systems throughout the galaxy declared independence, knowing that the Alliance would protect them. "The galaxy is free," Admiral Lee said as he watched the last Federation ships disappear into hyperspace. Fleet Admiral Vorthok nodded. "Free because different peoples chose to stand together rather than kneel separately." Dr. Songmi, monitoring communications from the Alliance Command Center, brought news that would reshape galactic civilization. "The Federation Council is requesting a ceasefire," she announced. "They want to negotiate, but that's not the important part. I'm receiving messages from species throughout the galaxy. They want to join our alliance, not as subjects or protectorates, but as equal partners." Ambassador Parkday looked at the star charts showing the new political reality. What had started as friendship between two species had become something much larger. The Human-Crafter Alliance was becoming the foundation for a new kind of galactic civilization. "We need a new name," he said. "We're not just humans and Crafter anymore." Fleet Admiral Vorthok considered this. "We are many peoples, but we fight as one. We are the Alliance of Free Worlds." The declaration went out across the galaxy that day. Any species that chose freedom over submission was welcome to join. Any world that wanted to govern itself rather than be governed by others had a place in the Alliance. The age of galactic empires built on conquest and submission was ending. The age of cooperation and mutual respect was beginning. 5 years had passed since the formation of the Alliance of Free Worlds. Colony Director Kang Su stood on the observation platform of New Harmony, watching human and Crafter children play together in the settlement's central park. The sight never failed to amaze him. Director Kang, his assistant, called out, "We have an incoming priority message from Alliance Command." Kang Su walked to the communication center, where Dr. Park Hannah's face appeared on the main screen. She looked older now, her hair showing, gray streaks from years of intense work as Director of Interspecies Relations. "Kang Su, I need you to prepare the colony for possible evacuation," Hannah said without preamble. "We've received disturbing signals from beyond the galactic rim." "What kind of signals?" Kang Su asked. "Ancient automated transmissions. A thing called the Devourers has awakened. Our deep space sensors detected massive energy signatures moving toward inhabited systems." Kang Su felt his stomach drop. "How massive?" "Larger than anything we've ever seen. The initial readings suggest technology that's millions of years old. If these are the same machines that attacked the Crafter homeworld in ancient times, then every organic species in the galaxy is in danger." The emergency session of the Alliance Council brought together representatives from 47 different species. Admiral Lee, now Supreme Admiral of Alliance Forces, studied the tactical reports with growing concern. "The probe data is clear," announced Dr. Kim Wan, the Alliance's chief scientist. "These aren't ships in any sense, we understand. Mobile planets, each one the size of a small moon. Our scans show they consume all matter in their path and convert it into more machines." Fleet Admiral Vorthok, his scales now showing the silver markings of advanced age, growled deep in his throat. "The ancient enemy returns. Our oldest stories speak of machines that devoured worlds until nothing remained but emptiness." Ambassador Parkday, representing human interests, asked the question everyone was thinking. "How long do we have?" "Haste on their current speed. The first devourer will reach Alliance space in 6 months," Dr. Kim Wan replied. "But they're not alone. Long-range sensors detect at least 12 of these machine worlds moving in our direction." The room fell silent as the magnitude of the threat became clear. Every war the galaxy had ever fought seemed small compared to this. "How do we fight something like that?" asked the Kelthan representative. Engineer Choi Min, now Chief Technology Officer for the entire Alliance, had been working on the problem since the first signals arrived. "We can't fight them individually. No single species has the technology or resources, but together we might have a chance." He activated a holographic display showing the combined technological capabilities of all Alliance species. "The Zephyrians have the fastest ships. The Andromedans have the most powerful energy weapons. Cractor armor is nearly indestructible. Human adaptability lets us combine everything into new solutions." "What are you proposing?" Admiral Lee asked. "Unified defense grid, unlike anything ever attempted. We link the technology of every Alliance species into a single network. Ships, weapons, sensors, everything working as one system." Fleet Admiral Vorthok considered this. "You speak of trust beyond anything warriors have ever known. To share our deepest secrets, our most powerful weapons, with all other species." "Yes," Choi Min replied. "Complete technological unity or complete destruction. Those are our choices." The next months were the most intense in galactic history. On every Alliance world, scientists and engineers worked together to create the unified defense network. Species that had been enemies for centuries shared their most guarded technological secrets. Master Sergeant Ojan, now General Ojan, coordinated ground defenses on frontier worlds. "The beautiful thing is watching everyone work together," he told his mixed species staff. "Cractor strength, human creativity, Kelthan precision, Zephyrian speed. We're becoming something none of us could be alone." Dr. Song-Gi established psychological support centers on every major world. "People are terrified," she reported to the Alliance leadership, "but they're not running or hiding, but coming together. Crisis is making us stronger as an Alliance." The test came sooner than expected. Long-range scouts detected the first devourer entering the outer edge of Alliance space. It was even larger than the initial estimates suggested. A mechanical world covered with weapons and manufacturing facilities. All defensive positions. "This is Alliance Command," Admiral Lee announced across the entire network. "Operation Unity begins now." The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. The unified defense grid linked every ship, station, and planetary defense system into a single, coordinated network. When the Devourer's weapons targeted human vessels, Cractor ships immediately moved to protect them. When Cractor defenses were overwhelmed, Zephyrian speed and Andromedan firepower provided instant support. Engineer Choi Min worked frantically in the main technical center alongside specialists from dozens of species. "The machine is adapting to our weapons," he reported. "Every time we find a weakness, it repairs itself." Then we don't give it time to adapt," said Bruthos, the Cractor engineer who had become Choi Min's closest colleague. "We hit it with everything different at once." The breakthrough came when Dr. Park Hanna discovered the Devourer's central weakness. "It's not just a machine," she announced. "It's a network, like our defense grid. But unlike us, It has no backup systems. If we can overload its central processing core, the entire machine will shut down. How do we reach the core? Admiral Lee asked. Someone has to get inside, Hannah replied. Past all the defenses to the very center of the machine world. Pilot Yoon Jae, now squadron leader Yoon Jae, volunteered immediately. I'll take a small team in fast ships. We can slip through their defenses while the main fleet keeps them busy. You won't go alone, Fleet Admiral Vorthok declared. This mission requires the best from all our species. The infiltration team included pilots from 6 different species, each bringing unique skills. They flew ships equipped with the best technology from every Alliance world. Human stealth systems, Cractor armor, Zephyrian engines, Kelthan sensors, all working together. The flight into the Devourer was a nightmare of automated defenses and mechanical horrors. But the team pressed forward, protecting each other and using their combined abilities to overcome every obstacle. Core chamber in sight, Yoon Jae reported as they reached the center of the machine world, beginning attack run. The explosion that followed lit up space for light years around. The massive Devourer, which had seemed unstoppable, went dark and began drifting helplessly. But the victory came at a cost. Only half the infiltration team made it out alive. They died as heroes, Fleet Admiral Vorthok said at the memorial service. They showed the galaxy what alliance means. No species stands alone. The remaining 11 Devourers, detecting the fate of their scout, changed course and retreated beyond the galactic rim. The immediate threat was over, but the galaxy had learned an important lesson. We can't go back to the old ways, Admiral Lee told the expanded Alliance Council. This crisis proved that we're stronger together than any of us could ever be alone. Ambassador Parkday proposed the Galactic Friendship Accords, a new framework for interspecies cooperation based on equality and mutual respect. No more empires, he declared. No more conquest. From now on, we grow through friendship, not force. The accords were signed by 73 species in a ceremony on Earth. But the real celebration happened on worlds throughout the galaxy, as people of different species worked, played, and lived together as equals. 10 years later, Captain Lee So-min graduated from the Seoul Military Academy alongside her best friend and battle brother, Ordok Jr., the son of the great fleet admiral. They represented the new generation, children who had grown up seeing cooperation as natural and friendship as the foundation of civilization. What's our mission, Captain? Orthok Jr. asked as they prepared for their first assignment together. Lee So-min looked at the stars, where ships from dozens of species traveled freely between worlds that welcomed all peaceful visitors. Our mission is to keep the galaxy friendly, she replied, to make sure no one ever has to fight alone again. In the park below the academy, children from 20 different species played together, their laughter mixing in harmonies that no single world could create. Their parents, former enemies now, friends, shared stories and dreams under stars that belonged to everyone. The galaxy had learned the greatest lesson of all, that friendship is stronger than fear, cooperation more powerful than conquest, and unity more beautiful than any empire. The age of alliance had truly begun.